Good morning, investor and corporate. Welcome to Set Digital Roadshow first quarter 2022 performance review. The session will run about 45 minutes, including Q&A. Company will start the session by 30-minute presentation, followed by 15-minute Q&A. During Q&A, investor may leave your question in meeting room chat box or you raise your hand function. We will open your microphone so you can ask the question to the company directly. May I now invite PTT Global Chemical Public Company Limited to start the presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for the investor joining us for today. Jitasak Sunthornpan and with Kun Praveen Tiaskun, the IR manager, will be the presenter for this session. So thank you very much for today. We would like to present briefly in terms of the first quarter highlight and then following with the strategic direction and wrap up for the performance. So before we go for the details, we'd like to preempt that for GC, we apply the sustainable development framework to be one of our key strategy, and we are more focused on this, as you can see from this page, that for GC ourselves, we are ranked in the DJSI for the 9 consecutive years, and we are the first place for the 3rd consecutive years for the chemical segment, right? And the other on this page, you can see that we are recognized and acknowledged both the international and the domestic recognition. So on the first part, for the first quarter key highlight, you can see from the announcement of the performance that we show that the revenue is able to rebound 26% from the previous quarter to be 175 billion Thai baht for the revenue. That is support from the full operating rate of all the major plant that we have, and support by the product price, which is increased in the same trend as the oil price as well. And that's the reason why in terms of the operating profit, we have about 6.2 billion Thai baht, increase about 80% Q on Q. But it's a partial offset by the impact, like some extra item like a hedging loss from the commodity hedging, especially for the oil market. That's the reason why we have reported net income about 4.2 billion Thai baht, increase 30% Q on Q. The key highlight of this quarter is briefly, as you can see in the box below, the main support is from the robust of the performance material and the chemical, which are mostly from the Allnex itself. If you recall that this is the first quarter that we will realize the benefit from Allnex that we just complete the acquisition late of last year. And Allnex is one of the leading in the coating resin producer in the world. And this margin and the performance is quite robust and able to be to deliver as a plan what we expect during the deal and the acquisition. And in terms of the phenol chain as well, is still one of the profitable market. So that's the reason why the key support from this quarter, as you can see from the right hand side, that the orange area of the performance chemical is one of the largest area that contribute to the EBITDA portfolio in this quarter. For the refinery, actually, even though they have quite supportive in terms of the increasing in the crack spread, but we do some hedging in this quarter since the beginning of the years, and they have some hedging loss based on the increasing in the crack spread in the market comparing with what we have done the hedging level. So that altogether for the refinery is quite on par, right? In terms of the weekend market, it's like for the aromatics, as we can see that in the first quarter, the increase in the oil price that have some increase in terms of the condensate, which is one of the main feedstock for the aromatics. And in this quarter, they have some soften in terms of the demand of the byproduct, the end product downstream like polystyrene, because some production in Asia, especially in China, they have a shutdown, so they have less soften in terms of the spread. So that's make it all together to be our performance in this quarter. The key highlight in this quarter, as mentioned, on the first bullet on the left-hand side is the first quarter that we acquire the Onyx, that we realized the performance in this quarter, which we expected that everything is still on plan and will be what we expect throughout the years. The second point is about the recent development that we complete the acquisition, the share in the PVC producer called Thai. In the past, we hold about roughly 25%, but we do the tender offer, and we have a complete on that. That's made us to increase the share in the Thai to be 37.82%, which will help us to extend the value chain of the olefin ethylene to the downstream of the PVC, and to find more collaboration with our new partner in the company, which is the AGC, the Asahi Glass. Then we will explore the opportunity for the further business together. And the last one is about the financial management, that we have quite a number of achievements in this quarter. We try to do the liquidity and cost control management during the fluctuation and the high oil price. We are able to access to the financial market, that in the first quarter, we are successfully issue both the Thai baht bond and the US dollar bond, and have a response from the market. That make it all together for the issuing for the Thai baht and the dollar bond is roughly about 2.3 billion US dollar. And the last one is about redoing some group adjustment and review our policy in order to align all the business together with the new business that we just acquired. So that's why we have change in terms of the accounting policy to extend the useful life to reflect the existing useful life of the asset, as well as we are doing the evaluation of the Onyx PPA after we complete the acquisition. So that's the key highlight for the first quarter. For the next session, I will ask Kun Praveen to present on this. Thank you.
Thank you. So for this part, just to give a quick update on the strategy of the company. So as you may be aware that we have been implementing the strategy that we call three-step strategy, and for a number of years, and this continue to be the pathway that we take. So the first step that we are implementing is what we call the step change. So this one, as we try to focus on enhancing our existing competitiveness, and focusing on extending the value chain of our product. And the key highlight here, as you can see, is the effort that we try to enhance our PVC chain by acquiring additional shares in Thai. So previously we held about 25%, and earlier this year we completed the tender offer to increase up to 38%. So after that, in the next step, we gonna support Thai way forward as they look to amalgamate with Asahi Glass subsidiary, the company called Asahi Glass Chemical Thailand. And after completing this amalgamation, a new company will be formed, and we expect that this new company, they will become the #1 PVC producer in CLMVT. With new capacity increasing, as you can see in the chart here, the PVC capacity will increase from 450,000 tons up to 850,000 tons. So that already accounting for the planned expansion of the PVC expansion that Winnie Thai has in plan. So that means that they will be able to not only become a larger producer of PVC, but also they will have more presence in Thailand and also in Vietnam as well. And beside that, this new expansion capacity it will help us to be the outlet of our ethylene that we produce from our naphtha cracker as well. On the other project that we have in the pipeline, as you can see on the bottom of the page, these are projects that are currently under construction and are expected to be completed this year. So the first one is the project that we call Kurare GC Advanced Material. This one is the project that we partner with a Japanese company called Kurare. So this project will produce engineering plastic. Total capacity will be close to 20,000 tons. Will serve us in terms of extending our olefin value chain and also help us to enter into the engineering plastic present and serving into many downstream customer demand segment. So this project is expected to be complete in the fourth quarter of this year. And the other project we like to highlight is the project by our JV company called HMC Polymer. So they are the leading PP producer here in Thailand, which they have the plan to expand their capacity by building another line of production. So this one also similarly, it will help us to use our propylene from our naphtha cracker production and extend that into the PP production. So that will also start to operate in the third quarter of this year. So in the next page, this one just to summarize on the step out strategy. The key one, as you know, is that our acquisition of Alnex, which was completed at the end of last year. So far this year, we've been focusing on the integration with Alnex. And our idea for the integration with Alnex is that we do not try to completely fully integrate them into our operation, but we try to support them in their growth direction and their strategy going forward. So one of the directions for growth is that they try to grow more across key geography, especially in Asia, where there's a lot of growth potential. So we try to help and support them in terms of growing in this area. And also we try to support them in terms of things like operational excellence and other synergistic areas as well. So in the next page, you will see the key areas that we've already identified after our first 100 days of integration with them. And things that we look at, things that we try to bring our strength to them are things like operational excellence or also support them in innovation and also trying to bring to them our CVC platform so that they can collaborate and try to look for new area of growth with Alnex. And other things like supply chain and also raw material integration as well. So after having already looked at all these area of initiative, we are quite confident that in the future, in the next 5 years, we should be able to help Alnex grow the EBITDA from the current level, which is around 400 million euro per year, should be able to grow by about 1.5 times over the next 5 years. The last aspect of our strategy is what we call step up. This one is focusing on the sustainability and carbon reduction of carbon emission. So we already set out the target for net zero carbon emission that we would like to achieve by the year 2050. And after having announced that target, we also announced the key roadmap in terms of the things that we have to do in order to reach that target by the year 2050. So here we highlight out the 3 key aspects of things that we have to do. The first one is what we call the efficiency-driven initiative, in that we try to identify initiative internally of our existing plant of ways to cut the carbon emission from our existing production. So looking at process optimization and upgrading our equipment to be more efficient and reduce the carbon emission from those process. And besides that, we also look at transforming our energy mix to be more using more renewable energy like a solar roof project or using external source of cleaner energy. The middle one, the one we call portfolio driven, is that we try to enhance and transform our investment portfolio to be more focused on low carbon business. So we expect that by investing in this low carbon business, we'll still be able to maintain our business growth, but also transform our investment to be reducing the carbon emission from our business. So for example, the project that we have invested in, like our next and circularity project like recycle plastic and bioplastic, these will also have less carbon footprint, but also be able to maintain the growth in our EBITDA as well. The last one, after having done those two things, we still have to do what we call compensation driven, which is by looking at emerging technology like the carbon capture and storage, as we expect that in the next 10 years or 20 years, these new technologies should be able to become commercially acceptable and also help us to capture those carbon that we emit. And besides that, we also look at managing carbon credit as well, as this will help to offset the overall carbon emission from our portfolio. Next page is on moving into the last section, just to give you a recap of our financial highlight for the first quarter. So this page, as Khun Thitisak already went through, that our revenue and our EBITDA in the first quarter continue to grow, especially driven by the added contribution from Alnex, which we started to fully consolidate into our profit and loss statement in the first quarter. But besides that, we had strong contribution from the refinery business, and whereas on the petrochemical side might be weaker considering the higher feedstock costs from the high oil price. So on the bottom right, just to highlight to you the EBITDA contribution from each of our business segment. So you can see that the upstream business, which mainly consists of the refinery business, was quite strong, contributing about 23%, which was driven by the strong GRM from the refinery. Whereas on the petrochemical side, which is mainly on the pink one and the blue one, are the intermediate and the polymers and chemical. They may have been mainly pressured by the high feedstock costs from the high naphtha costs, but overall it's still contributing strong performance. And lastly, the key one that started to contribute in the first quarter is in the yellow segment, which is the performance chemical. So you can see that it already contributed about 30% into our EBITDA contribution. You may remember that in the long-term target, we set the target that we want to increase the contribution from the performance chemical up to 35%. So you can see that we already achieved significantly toward that goal. But this quarter may be representing quite high given the weakening on the petrochemical side of the business. Next page, this one is on to summarize how our recent effort in terms of portfolio management has helped us to contribute to our financial performance. So on the first one, you can see that we try to improve the contribution from international business. So recently, obviously, the clear one being Alnex that start to contribute into our profit and loss statement. And other than that, we enter into the restructuring of the Emery business, which is the oleochemical business. by divesting the basic oleochemical, but retaining only the specialty oleochemical business. So that also help us to have the increased contribution from the international business as well. In the middle one, we look at trying to grow our bio and circularity business portfolio. So you may remember that we have been investing in this type of business for a number of years. So we have been investing in nature work now for close to 10 years, starting from the ground up. And now we're starting to see clear benefit from this investment. As we can see that the profit profile has been growing over the past few years. There's been more and more demand for this kind of product. And we expect that going on in the future, that will continue to be the trend. So we expect to continue to reap the benefit from our investment in companies like NatureWork and PTTGC biochemical and also Emery as well. And the last one is the added benefit from Vinitai. As I mentioned that we increase our shareholding in Vinitai by about 13% up to 38%, right? So as PVC continue to strong quite recently in the current market, we were able to recognize added share profit from Vinitai in the first quarter as well. Last page, this one is on the CapEx spending profile for the next 5 years. So just to summarize to you where we are looking in terms of what we're likely to spend on CapEx for the next 5 years. Last year, we already completed a number of large projects like the new naphtha cracker expansion, the PO polyo expansion, and also the Alnex acquisition. So we've been undertaking a number of CapEx use over the last 1 to 2 years. So going the next 5 years, we do not expect for us to be spending as much as we have. So that's why we expect the trend of the CapEx use to be slightly going down. So for this year, we expect the gross CapEx to be around $300 million, and with the annual maintenance of about 350 on top of that. So that is the trend that we are looking at. The project that we have in the pipeline, you can see in the top, mainly a small project like the recycle plant in Vigo that expected to be commercially operated this year. The super engineering plastic Curale that I mentioned also will start to operate this year. And OMP project, this one is the modification of our olefin plant to help it to be able to have more feedstock flexibility. So that one we expect to have CapEx spending only for the next 2 years, and then it will start to operate in 2023. So that's all the presentation that we have. So next, I think we can open the floor for the investor to ask any question that you may have.
The session has come to an end. So on behalf of the Stock Exchange of Thailand, I would like to thank you, investor and corporate, for joining the conference. We look forward to welcome you all again in the next quarter. Thank you very much and have a good day. ขอบคุณนะคะท่านผู้บริหาร
Thank you.